Hey, welcome back. It's been a little bit since I've done a video. As we kind of finish out the first half of the school year, I'm just really kind of run ragged, and I've been very tired, and I didn't want to just force out a video that was going to be just kind of low quality, or me half asleep, just for the sake of putting out a video. I do apologize for that, but I'm feeling pretty good tonight, and figured that I would do just a quick unboxing of this model I bought. Paid for it myself, to be clear, about a week ago, almost. And to be fair, also, I didn't even buy this for myself. I bought this for my son. He's getting into Warhammer ever so gingerly. He's just taking a look at it. He's only 7, and he's quite interested in the Lizardmen because they're dinosaurs and lizards and kind of monsters, and they're just basically everything he loves. He's painted up some skinks, and he's been doing some other painting off and on with some like marines and goblins and just random stuff I've given him to paint. And he's loving it. He loves painting. He loves showing me all of his cool just ideas that he puts to the minis from the brush. And he's a very creative little guy, and his painting skills they're not there yet, but I figured it was time for him to try something bigger. He's tried a whole bunch of little stuff, and now it's time to get something bigger. And I took him out for a weekend away, and we stopped at a shop I've been meaning to get to, and he saw this and said, I want that dinosaur, Dad. So I said, fine, you know what? You can have this dinosaur. This is a Seraphon Bastiladon for Age of Sigmar, or, as I prefer to call it, a Lizardman Bastiladon. I think it was still called a Bastiladon back in, Warhammer Fantasy, but it was one of the models that I believe was released for the 8th edition Lizardmen. I don't have my book handy just to check that to be sure, but I'm like 99% sure this was in the Lizardman book. And yeah, it's an Ankylosaurus. He was excited that he saw there was an Ankylosaurus. He's wanted that. He's wanted the T-Rex too, the Carnosaur. But this one here just seems like a really good, like, kind of happy medium ground to get started on. It's big, but it's not huge. Like the Carnosaur is a massive model, even by comparison to this, which is pretty chunky. But this one here just has a nice, like, it has a very kid-friendly look to it, which I liked. Even though there's a lot of detail, it's also not like just dripping with it. So this, I figured, would be a good spot for him to get going on bigger models and give him something really fun to paint. So anyways, the box is pretty standard. Age of Sigmar, white with very vibrantly colored, or painted miniatures, colored too. And the back shows you the other option. The first one is called the Solar Engine. I think in Fantasy it might have been called Engine of the Gods, although... sorry. I also think that might be the one that was on the Stegodon. If somebody can remember, they can stick that in the comments. And yeah, the Arcosotech, that's what he wants. I'm going to build it separate anyways, so we can try to see if we can swap them out, even with magnets. But this is some sort of stone piping that pours snakes out, and yeah, he's totally in love with that idea. Like, the crystal's like neat, I guess, as far as he's concerned, but I mean, this is snakes coming out of rocks on the back of a dinosaur, and lizard guys are riding the dinosaur too, and yeah, he's pretty excited. So anyways, I'm going to move forward now over to the sprues, and they're pretty nice. This is a great kit for learning, I think, because it is nice and big, but the kit itself, in terms of building, it's really not that much. This first sprue, it's nicely detailed, but there's only about 10 pieces on it. And maybe a little bit more than 10 pieces, but not too many. And yeah, it's just cool. Like, it's nice and easy to put together just by looking at it. I can already tell this is going to form your main body. Nice little details, cool feet. Lots of nice detailed, but not heavily detailed surface for him to practice on. He's going to have a good time with this. This one here is a second sprue. This shows the rest of the Ankylosaurus, the Bastiladon, and a few pieces of what I think is the what is it called? What I call it already, the Ark of Sotek. I think that's what's up here. And yeah, no, it's again not that many pieces. That's also nice. I'm gonna build this for him. He's way too little still for me to hand him a bunch of super glue or plastic glue. But I do think a younger or newer hobbyist in general really wouldn't have too hard of a time with this kit. You know, like I said, there's about a dozen maybe, I guess, when I look at it. Pieces on the first sprue. This one here, let's just call it 20 pieces on this sprue. And most of them are pretty good sized. Like, they're not, like, massive. And if you're only going to build one version, glue it all together, not worry about having both versions, I would say in total there's probably 10 or 15 pieces that you're not even going to use. And this third piece, or this third sprue, this is the crew as well as the solar engine. And there might be a few pieces of the dinosaur on here too. And yeah, I mean, it's, again, not that many pieces. It's quite detailed. You do have to keep in mind, this is still Warhammer Fantasy era, meaning that quite detailed is still, you know, 10 plus years ago GW standard. So it looks really good, but it does not match up to what they've been putting out the last 2 or 3 years. I'm still not a fan of the newer stuff for the most part when it comes to Age of Sigmar, but it is all very nicely detailed. It's hard to argue that. And some of the stuff they're putting out is still really great, even though it's just not for me. Yeah, no, this is a nice kit. It's going to be fun for him, and I'm gonna have a good time putting that one together too, I think. Oh, and you get the base. We are going to use ovals for him. We are going to start practicing our games in Age of Sigmar, just because Age of Sigmar is, as far as I'm concerned, you know, not as good a game, but it is easier to learn just the very basics with the very simple, like, 4+ to hit. That little dial of stats that you use. I do think that was a good idea for a more introductory game. I am looking forward to Old World, because in my hopes it is still going to have the old style stat lines or something very close to it that's more in depth, but there were always certain things that I never really understood. Things like ballistic skill, where it was like ballistic skill 4 meant that you hit on a 3, when I was like, okay, so why not just make it say hit on a 3 and then, you know, do whatever subtractions or additions to that the rules allow. But for the most part, yeah, it's I'd rather the better, more in-depth rules, but for a kid, I think Age of Sigmar is going to be perfect. It's just a lot simpler, especially if you skip a lot of the extra stuff and just focus on the very basic core rules. So anyways, Bastiladon, it's pretty cool looking. Oh yeah, there's a manual for like instructions. I'm not going to bother showing it. It's literally just photocopied folded paper. It's not nice to look at. It does the job. It's nothing special. But yeah, this is a nice little kit. If you're interested in, you know, starting Seraphon or Lizardmen, I think this might be a kind of a cool piece to start with. This does come in a start collecting box with some skinks, which for either game I think is a good purchase. So anyways, thanks very much for watching, and if you have any thoughts or comments, as always, just leave them down below. And now that like I said, the holidays are coming up, I should have more free time and, you know, more importantly, energy to put out some videos and kind of get things rolling again. So thanks very much for watching, and have a great day.